All right, we are here with another edition of Ask a Maker Educator. I hope everyone out there in YouTube world is doing well today. I'm Danny from Maker Ed, and I'm super excited to be here with Kennan Scott, a Maker educator from Oakland, California. He works out here at West Oakland Middle School, and I am super excited to have him here today to talk about engineering and design thinking and lots of other great stuff that he's doing with his middle school students. Kennan, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Wow, what a tremendous opportunity. Hello, live YouTube. All makers everywhere. I wish we had like some universal salute or something. We need to come up with one. So I am Kennan Scott. I am fortunate enough to be here with you today to talk about the work that I do at West Oakland Middle School. We are a STEM-based school, and I am the engineering, 3D modeling and design, as well as computer science teacher there. And we are part of a STEM pathway that starts at elementary school and continues all the way up to high school here in the West. I'm actually currently out in the West right now in my car, live and direct. Hopefully no kids come up and knock on the window.
That's good. We've got the real deal right here, live from the school parking lot, it sounds like. Awesome, Kennan. It's nice to have you. So if you are excited about chatting with Kennan and want to get involved, you can always share your questions on social media. Just go ahead and tag @MakerEdOr, or you can also use the chat box on the side of the YouTube video right now, and those will all get logged and turned into comments. So feel free to jump in there if you want to join the conversation. To get started, though,
Kennan, right away, I was like, I want to say hi to everyone. So I just jump in that chat room. This is crazy technology.
Awesome. So Kennan, tell us a little bit about how you yourself got into engineering. What got you excited about it? How did you get motivated to get involved in this world?
It's interesting. I loved math. I always like to tell people math was my gateway drug. That is the thing that got me into and about everything that I have become today. I loved math. And when I was in high school, we had these really cool classes that don't exist anymore called shop and home ec and mechanical engineering through, automotive technology. And so I took all of those classes. And it wasn't until I got into a technical drawing class where we were actually coming up with our own forms of bikes and changing the way bikes worked and looking at the evolution of bicycles over time that I really started even thinking about engineering as a profession. It was in that class that the teacher recognized that I liked physics and I loved math and that I liked this technical drawing aspect. And he said, have you ever thought about being an engineer? And I said, I have no idea what that is. And when I told my mom that someone had suggested I be an engineer, she said, yes, you go do that. And so that's really how I got into it. I knew nothing about it, and I just went to college and started learning. And it's very interesting education in engineering to go into a profession that you don't really know so much about. I knew I loved trains. And so when I was picking schools and they had different engineering Bachelors of Science, I looked for the one that was closely related to transit. And I thought, okay, there it is, civil engineering. That's what I'm going to do. And I really didn't find out what civil engineering was and what it was about until I started working. And when I came out to California, I started working for BART and Muni and designing subway lines and really starting to see what engineering was about. And that was like after having a Bachelor's of Science. It's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's just an amazing example of, you might want to mute yourself in between talking. That's a really amazing example of taking something that you're excited about and maybe not knowing so much about it, but just being excited and having that become like your life. That's so amazing, and something I'm sure you work hard to kind of instill that same passion in your students now. So that being said, you were super excited about trains. You loved working as an engineer. How did you decide to shift over and leave that specifically professional world and get into educating?
That is a wonderful transition, one that has actually become the best move I ever made. And it's a decision that was really hard. So I was in transit doing engineering and really enjoying my work, but I felt like I was not making a greater impact. As a youth in New York, I rode the train simply because they had air conditioning. And in the summer, when you got no school and nothing to do, that air-conditioned train is like gold, and it'll take you all around the city, and you can just get off and decide to check out a whole new neighborhood and see what it's like to be in a whole different part of New York City. And so that, I mean, that's my framework for trains. And when I started working with BART and with Muni, we were doing these really cool lines that were getting people access. They were taking areas that didn't have, access to jobs, to schools, and providing them with this access. And I started getting really charged up by this.
Yeah.
And in my current job, I was designing the track and not necessarily talking with the people and seeing how what I had designed was actually helping. I went and got a degree in planning, master's in urban planning, hopefully to make that shift. I got out, it was 2012, jobs were hard to come by. And I was finding it really challenging to get into a field that I thought I was perfectly suited for. Here I had this very technical background in engineering and this big picture thinking from planning, and that I felt like they should merge better, and it wasn't happening. And I don't know about you, Danny, but when I'm stressed out, I call my mom. I still do to this day as an adult. I call my mom. And I called my mom, and she was like, look, you're trying to make an impact. Have you ever thought about teaching? And it hit me like a tidal wave. My mom is a retired special ed teacher, 4th and 5th grade, 26 years in the same room.
Yeah.
And she was the type that would say to people, no, you don't want to be a teacher. It's hard work. I'm not sure that that's really what you want to do. Always. So to have her offer that to me was really startling. And I knew that it came from a really true and genuine place. And so I just jumped in full bore, both feet, and have really just loved this transition to being an educator. It is, that special purpose that I was trying to find, or that meaning, I find it every day in my students, whether they know it or not. They're giving me that feeling every day.
That's great. So what are some new ways you found that you really can impact or connect with your community, or found new communities to connect with through your teaching?
It's been great to be kind of now in my, starting on my 3rd year, finishing on my 3rd year at West Oakland Middle, to be that teacher that, I've had 4 and 5 brothers and sisters already, so there's one piece that there are kids that are at the elementary school that are excited to come be a part of West Oakland Middle School's engineering program because I've had 2 of their brothers and 1 of their sisters already. And so that I feel is really excellent. I've been starting to work a lot with parents and getting them engaged in not only the material their students are learning, but trying to find a way for the material to be transformational in their lives as well. I'm working with a mom right now who is super juiced on coding. She loves coding. I don't know where she gets it from. She loves to code. And I'm explaining to her that, hey, your love could turn into a $110,000 a year job if we can find you some training that you can do that works with your schedule. So I'm working with her, trying to get her into a hack reactor that's online, that can really give her the foundational skills to go get one of these high-paying jobs in the tech sector. And that's where I really start to get energized.
Yeah.
When you can impact the student's life, see that joy in their learning, and also bring that same feeling to the whole family through the parent, through a brother, a sibling, then I feel like you've really got something that's starting to build a community around it and starting to get roots. And so that's where I feel like I am right now. And that's the joy that I get from teaching. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's community that goes beyond just the actual in-school community. It's the real community. It's that neighborhood. It's the people who are living there and have been living there, which is super cool, especially in a neighborhood like West Oakland. I mean, I live around there as well, and I feel like there aren't enough things that really focus on community in that deep, super specific way. So that's really great to hear. I'm wondering about so you mentioned that the classes that really stood out for you were things like shop and these classes that, yeah, like you said, they don't exist anymore. So how have you seen new types of empowerment or value around bringing these ideas back to students and giving them a chance to do something like shop, even though it's not technically a shop class?
The best day that I think I've had as a teacher so far was I was working with a student on their 3D model. They were making a 3D amplifier for an iPhone. A real simple design, but really taught all the principles of using geometry to create an object, a product. And so we're scraping this, model off the 3D printer, and I stabbed myself in the thumb. I started bleeding. I started bleeding a lot. And all the students are like, oh my God, Mr. Scott, you're bleeding. It's like crazy. And I said, no, I finally teach a shop class. I almost lost a finger. You guys don't understand. This is what I've been living for this whole time, is to say that I lost a finger on the job. I mean, shout outs to all my wood shop teachers who have all their fingers. You guys are awesome. But yeah, it was that moment that I felt that, you know, this type of project-based making environment, it just cut through all the barriers. It just like engaged all the students. And my population at my school is 23% Arab American.
Mm-hmm.
So language is a huge barrier. Culture we get over in the West, because culture, if you're from the West, you from the West. We don't care where you came from initially, you in the West now. But language was such an issue. But once we got to making, once we got to doing, the knowledge that I was spitting in the class made sense when we built it. Their natural skills at using their hands became an asset, right? Oh, wait, this language barrier I have is no longer really it. What's really it is, can I use my hands and my brain? That's it. Like, that's what's going to make me successful. And so this new age shop, making, wood shop, whatever you do in your class that has projects and students are actively engaging in thought, that's the new wave. I mean, that's the new shop class. Whether you lose a finger or not, I'm trying to lose a finger. That's just me.
Hopefully everyone's keeping their fingers, but I do love that sense of empowerment and the way that making can break down barriers that maybe you didn't even think it was going to be breaking down, or you weren't even planning on focusing on breaking down language barriers in your class maybe, and suddenly you're having this experience. Can you share a specific story of something like that happening?
Oh yeah. So we all have a student, you know, we were actually just talking about it because I had a sister last year, and I was trying to empower her to become a maker and be more open with her own intelligence, really. But her brother, 2 years before, her brother was just that kid who had all the energy and nowhere to put it. So he put it everywhere that it wasn't supposed to be. He's trying to learn English. He's learning all the curse words.
Sure.
Right? You know, that's what's going to get the attention. Oh my God, look at what I said. Everybody laughed. I'm getting that attention. And we struggled for the first half of the year, because the first half of the year in my class, there's a lot of foundational material I want to get to you before I can give you my robots, or before I can turn over a 3D printer to you. I got to tell you about it first. I'm not just going to give it to you. And so we struggled, and he was not doing well. Failure. We got to about the halfway point where we are now in our semester currently, and we start this robotics section. And really the words start to fade off. And the words are really just used to validate what you've built. So when you're talking about your build, I want you to use these words. But the words aren't the foundation. Your build, your physical manifestation of your frustration and creativity, that's what I'm looking for. And he just, boom, shot to the moon. Because whether he could read the instructions didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
He could think about what to do. He could get that wrench, get that screwdriver, and start building a robot like nobody's business. And so all that energy that was misdirected for so long, it was getting him sent out of class, and you know, everybody's mad at him because he's doing the wrong thing. He became the technician for everybody's group. He was parts manager. He knew where every part was. He knew what every part was. He had them calculated and counted. He would do my inventory, and he became an A student.
Yeah.
And it was because the class shifted from all this heavy lifting of vocab and thoughts and ideas to, well, take that and now make something cool, and then show me your excitement about it. And he succeeded at that beyond most people because he had the energy for it. The boy had energy. That wasn't the problem. So yeah, I mean, shout out to Muhammad. That's my dude. He changed the way I thought about the class just from that moment, because I had struggled with him, really struggled with getting just the basics. Stay seated. Then I was like, well, don't stay seated. Go around.
Yeah.
Help everyone. You clearly know what you're doing. Be the new teacher. And I see him now today, and he's always like, Mr. Scott. He's got all that same energy. I called him like the other day. I was like, you like a puppy. Every time I see you, you're like, Mr. Scott. I'm like, you gotta calm down, man. How old are you now? You gotta chill out. You might have a heart attack.
That's a great story, and a super cool example of the different kinds of empowerment you might find that maybe you don't expect when you start really digging into making and hands-on learning like that. Do you feel like you'd have been able to create these types of experiences if you didn't have an engineering background yourself?
Yes, definitely. I think for me, it's a little easier because I'm really used to, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm used to trial and error.
Hmm.
I'm used to finding success through failure. And I think that's the one part that holds a lot of teachers back is not being willing to just fail in front of the kids. I teach a computer science class where we build Android apps. The first time I taught that class, I had no idea what I was doing. And it was okay because I was honest with the kids. I was like, this is what I know up until this point. Everything else, we're going to figure out together. And when you find out, you tell me, and then we'll tell the class. And if you're open to learning at the same time as you're trying to instruct, right? If you're open to learning at the same time, then I think anyone can handle project-based learning because you're going to enjoy it. You're not going to be sitting at a desk. You're not going to be constantly telling children, hey, be quiet, sit down. You're going to be like, make noise,
Yeah.
have some fun, talk about this, do it. Like my class is messy, noisy, crazy, but that's how it works. And that's how we get good products is we get excited about our work. And so as long as you're a teacher who's open to learning, and most teachers are open to growth and open to this fact that you're not going to know everything, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. Do you have any advice or sort of, I guess, a first step an educator might take if they're feeling uncomfortable in that world or uncomfortable being willing to not have the answers in that way you're describing?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say start out with something really simple, like learn how to build a basic website. Use some HTML, right? Find a little tutorial, learn how to build a basic website. Then challenge your students to take that basic website and make it really impressive. And you can find links online to classes, online free, everything, YouTube all day, and your students will take it there. And they'll be embedding links and they'll be adding sounds and counters and like buttons. And you'll see that your basic knowledge now has grown because now you know what they know and that you've empowered these students to go out and seek more knowledge beyond you. And they just take off when they become the teacher or they become the expert. And you don't have to be the expert.
Yeah.
And the more you're comfortable with, oh boy, with taking that away, that need to be the expert, I think it starts with small projects, easy projects. I did, the index card tower. I think everyone's heard about making a tower out of index cards and then testing it for weight. Every kid's tower is going to be different. You can't control what they make. What they make is their own. So then you have to be comfortable with, all right, explain why your tower looks like that because mine wouldn't look like that. Something take a simple step. And like I say HTML websites because I find it to be really empowering and kids live on the web and they can see their site live and they get excited, but take an even smaller step if that feels too big. But take a small, quick one and you'll see how awesome you feel.
Awesome. That's super good advice. And I love that. Yeah, the HTML is a great example from your experience, but the index card tower is something that, don't even need to touch a computer, which is always great. I'm wondering, so you thinking back to one of the first things you said, you mentioned bicycles and how bikes really inspired you and you liked bikes and that inspired you to connect with engineering. What are some ways that in your class or just in general, you encourage students to kind of see design and engineering around them and see those things they connect with and see how they can kind of build on that?
That's the real magic, Danny. I mean, you want to come sub? Come on, dude. That's it. That's the real magic, is how you connect it to what they already know and what they're already engaged in. Just today, we were talking about bikes because I'm trying to teach gear ratio. And we're talking about how do you increase speed through gear ratio? How do you increase power through gear ratio? And the easiest way to break that down is a 10-speed bike.
Sure.
On a 10-speed bike, when you're on flatland, you want that low gear. You want to be cruising. You want speed. But as soon as you hit that hill, the last thing you want to be on is a BMX. Because if you're on a mongoose trying to go up a hill, it's going to be a rocky, very hard mode on your legs. You're going to be real tired. So that was one way that we talked about gear ratio. Another student then thought about that, and he was like, hey, I researched a robot that helps people move. I bet the gear ratio is built for power. And I'm like, whoa, awesome. You just made that connection. I would have never even tried to press that connection. You did it. I try to find things that are relevant. Right now, my students that are finishing up these awesome applications, they're community-based applications. They had to go out and conduct empathy interviews, talk to people in their family, in their community, in the school, find out what they really needed. So first, they're just learning about people. They're making it relevant right there.
Yeah.
You know, you want to, you know, the first way I got them hooked was I was like, oh, you want to do that? You can do it. And you can show people on your phone. Oh my God, I can bring my phone out in class, Mr. Scott? Yes, I'm not going to take it from you. Right? They're like, oh, I'm hooked. I'm in. I can take my phone out. So you got to meet them. I mean, we say it a lot, meet them where they are, but it's really true. If you can hone in on what they like and synthesize it or collaborate it or fit the pieces together, or you hone in on what you know. There's plenty of times where I just talk about what I understand and what my understanding looks like. We're talking about automation. I'm like, man, when I was young, you had to open every door. Now y'all just walk up to doors and they open. My son won't even know how to push a door at all. Like, you know, it's always open for him automatically. And they're like, oh, that's robotics? I'm like, yes, that's robotics. You see it every day. You don't even got to turn on the faucet. Just put your hands under there, soap, everything comes out. They're like, oh, okay, well then that's not so crazy. That's not some big thought, this theory. It's just the automatic doors at Target.
Yeah.
I could build that.
That's great. And that's for me at least, is like being able, for the most empowering part of making anything is being able to look around and see things that are related to it out in the world, and like, or the exact thing that I just made at home, messing around on my computer, see it existing is really amazing. So I'm sure for a young person who's not used to that type of empowerment, that's a very amazing experience to give them. We are just about out of time, Kennan. This has been super fun. Yeah, boo indeed. Are there any resources or things that you want to share that you think that any maker educator out there watching really ought to know about right now?
Yeah, a book just came out, Maker-Centered Learning. It's through the Agency by Design group, Project Zero, Harvard, smart people put this together. It's got some really great quotes, really great stories. There's some really awesome stories out of the East Bay School for Boys, the design school, just some really good stories to get you motivated and to make it relevant, right? Because as teachers, we need it to be relevant too. I'm really stoked on everything that the D School and the K-12 network is doing right now. They actually challenged me a lot to bring empathy to the forefront of all my design process. And so I'm giving that to the students. And I've watched today, we reviewed our empathy interviews to create user scenarios, which we're going to use to create apps. And it was just a tremendous growth that I've seen and the understanding of why we were doing it and how it had the purpose, why it made sense to my students was like immediate. And, you know, without unlocking that piece through the D School, I would have never even thought of slipping empathy in there right at the beginning. Shout outs to Maker Ed, PDs. I looked at one about maker spaces. I think, you know, that was pretty sweet. So definitely stay on the line for Maker Ed. These are my people's. Mad love. Look out for the convening. We're going to have a convening, I hope, this year. Yeah, so definitely try to be in the house for that, especially if you're in the Bay Area. I could do shout outs forever. You give me like 30 minutes. And
okay, we'll wait. Just keep spreading the love. Awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I super appreciate you taking the time and hiding out in the school parking lot to chat with us. That's great. And a first for Ask a Maker Educator. So that's awesome. Thank you all for watching. Next week, we are going to be speaking with Jackie Moore, the founder of Level Up Makerspace in Chicago, which is a super awesome teen-focused community makerspace. So that's going to be another awesome addition. So stay tuned for that. Kennan, thank you so much. We'll share out your info so people can connect with you and find all these resources that you are discussing and look into all the awesome work that you're doing. Thanks a lot, Kennan.
Danny, I can't wait to see you again just randomly in the hood. Those are great moments. Yes, indeed. Kennan and I are basically neighbors. Besties, awesome. You know, BFFs. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone.